We are in a moment in time in terms of race relations in this country where I can literally just do this. I could say Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, and we know what we're talking about, right? And Stas, you oversee perhaps one of the most important organizations in the Jewish world that's trying to promote progressive values, racial justice, economic justice. What's a Jewish role in the roiling race conversation that is happening now in America?
You know, nationally, I think the issue is that white America is really waking up to what Black America and people of color communities have known forever, which is that racism, systemic racism, is dangerous. It is demoralizing. It is immoral. It must end. And there is actually a very important role that Jews can play in supporting the demands that are coming out right now from Ferguson beyond. We've been asked to talk about Black lives mattering, not making it into all lives matter. There's been a very explicit request to keep it on Black Lives Matter. And I also think this is an incredible moment for the Jewish community to look at where we have Jews of color in our communities. We have Black Jews who are experiencing this as Black people in America, and it opens up an incredibly rich conversation for the Jewish community around racism in our own homes, in our own communal spaces, and it allows us to actually put the voices and experiences of Black Jews and Jews of color at the center of what our response will be when we take a look at this really incredible movement that we're in.
So a few weeks ago, we saw here in New York a protest in which quite a few rabbis participated, were arrested, put in the paddy wagon, sent to jail. How did that make you feel?
So these are the rabbis from Trua, mostly Jill Jacobs, among others. I found it to be an incredible moment. I think that this was a good example of rabbis standing up and working within Jewish law and Jewish text and using this to understand what it means for systemic racism, bias, and trauma to be invading the communities in the ways that they are, and not excerpting ourselves and not saying, well, the majority of our community is white, this is distanced from us. This is not distanced from us, we are all a part of it. And as a journalist, I think we need to see this as both a question of police brutality, of excessive militarized space between, you know, if we look at Ferguson specifically, but we need to look beyond that in the ways in which bias has crept in all parts of lives.